Have you done any writing this week?
Oh my god, I haven't. I've written report cards. Does that count?
Every once in a while, like life just gets sticky. I don't know how to explain it, but like even Claire, who writes all the time and has been on the show, she's like, "Oh, it's exam marking season. I'm not going to get as much writing done as."
Seriously. Yeah. And then I feel bad about it because I'm like, I started a new work in progress and I haven't touched it in easily like 3, 4 weeks. And I'm just like, this is not going well. And then my brain is like, no, just wait for December. Then you have like 3 weeks off for vacation. So then you can do it. No, because then I have other stuff to do.
I get it. And then we come on here on the podcast and we tell people you should be sitting and writing every single day and get some words down. And I'm like, did I get 10 words today? You know what? I edited something and I wrote like 10 new words in it, and that's it. I'm done. I sat down, I did the thing, and I'm surviving, keeping my head above water.
Sometimes to keep myself motivated, I'm like, I thought about it. I thought about my character today. I feel that was part of the work.
There you go. You did some work. Writing is not all on the page, right? With the holiday weather, I have eggnog.
So with me, I have caramel. Oh my goodness, it just smells delicious. So I'm gonna do some caramel while you do your eggnog.
That sounds perfect.
Let's get to with this episode. Hey, let's go. Welcome to Tea and Tales. We are so happy to have you here with us. I'm Madeleine I know.
And I'm Sarah Sampson. We especially want to thank B. Ware and Tom S. Rorden for joining us each week. This week, we have our Slap Me with the Wet Fish episode, all on reader reactions. And we appreciate everyone who took a moment to engage with our posts and to give us responses. And I think there was a theme in our responses. Nell?
We feel for you, we don't have advice for you. That's basically the vibe I was getting.
Yeah, pretty much. Though we did get a few good responses. Before we get into those, though, I thought it was very timely. I was scrolling my Facebook and I came across the creator Elise Myers, who I adore. She's amazing.
I love her.
And she's always so authentic and just lets you know what she's thinking and feeling. And I'm going to actually put this up in the middle between us here so that you're not trying to read things off of my screen. She put up a post and it's her, tears in her eyes, and she says, "Me, crying over the tragic love life of fictional characters. Please tell me I'm not the only one." You're not.
I was crying this morning when I finished one of my novels. It was even worse because I was at work and I was like, something in my eye? What?
She got a couple responses that I want to read.
Let me guess, none of them were helpful.
No, none of them helpful. None of them like, this is what you do. It's okay, Elise. No, nobody knows what to do. One of them said, "I literally have a shirt that says emotionally attached to fictional characters. You are not alone." And that was Anna Chambers Semensky. And I was like, I need your shirt. Where'd you get it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll Venmo you some money to give it to me.
Exactly. And then she got this response as well that I thought was totally on point from Jennifer Bullpit. She said, "Before kids, I was a fictional writer and I would cry when my own characters died. So you're not the only one."
I must admit though, like, if I can make myself cry while I'm writing, I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, then I feel like I've done something right. Right? And especially if you read it like for the 17th time and still like a tear goes down your cheek, you're like, whoa, this is some powerful stuff over here. Or then you're thinking, wait, am I the only one who feels this way? Because it's my book. I'm like, wait, what? So what is our slapping with a wet fish question that we did ask people?
I remember when you came up with the question, you're like, is this even a good question? How do I even word this?
Literally. But let me tell you like how I came about asking this question, because I was reading Dream Girl Drama from Tessa Bailey. It's a romance, so naturally it has a happily ever after, but my heart was just so sad throughout the entire novel, because it was literally one of those tropes where it's like you want to be together but you can't be together. And just the way she wrote it, it was just so beautifully written for both these characters, how they were struggling with the chemistry that they have and the love that they have for each other, yet they can't be together. And my heart literally, I just felt my heart aching, and I was so sad because I empathize with the characters and all that stuff. And I finished the novel and had a happy ever after, but that sadness stuck with me. But I mean, I have to go to work, I have to go to church, I have to meet friends and stuff like that. And so I would be working, and then people are like, well, are you okay? Because you're not like yourself and you're like not doing well. And this is what I was thinking. I was like, when I tell you, no, I'm in this bad mood because I read a book, they're going to look at me like I have seven heads, and then they're going to be like, okay, and they just walk away. So naturally, that's what I can't say. Then I'm just like, no, I'm just like not emotionally in a good space right now. And then they will give you a hug and walk away. How do you explain to people who don't read how much a novel affects you? That literally your daily life is affected by it. After a week or so, I do get over it naturally. So I do move on with my life, but I was just like, that sadness and that feeling that you feel when you read that novel, like only readers understand it, and it's so hard to describe it to non-readers. So you just end up not doing it.
No, I've been writing my dark fantasy lately, and this used to be full of chocolate. People who don't read don't understand the connection that you get with these characters. And we as authors do that on purpose. Like, that is our whole goal. If we can make you laugh, if we can make you cry, if we can make you throw the book across the room because you're mad at whatever the antagonist just did, that is a win for us. Like, yeah. But then how do you deal with that emotion afterward?
I mean, naturally, we posted on social media to ask what other readers thought about it, how they would approach this situation. And as we have concluded, we all feel the same, we just don't have solutions for it, which kind of sucked. But we did have a few people who actually gave some very insightful answers for how non readers can relate to you as a reader, feeling that emotional depth to something. Shout out to all the people who did do that, and I will definitely start with Arini Flotman. She is a South African indie author as well, and she said, it's like getting that job offer and waking up to realize it's a dream, or winning a competition only to find out it's a scam. You've already imagined yourself in that dream role and spent the money you've won, but it all happened in your imagination, which is no one's fault but your own. I've lived in my book, Mind Consciousness, for days or hours, only to remember that reality sucks.
Yes, reality can be, it's an escape, but then I have to remember it's just a book, like a dream. I love that.
And it's relatable. It's very true, because if you can go up to someone and they're like, "Oh my gosh, why are you so sad?" And instead of saying, "I'm sad because I read a book," you can be like, "Imagine you applied for your dream role and someone told you you got it and you got like super excited, you quit your job and everything, and then you realize it was a scam. How would you feel about that?" So that might put them in a mindset of some sort of the level of sadness or feelings that you are feeling.
I think her way of saying it's like waking up from the dream and you realize what happened that was so amazing is not your reality. And it's just that moment of, oh, but especially the scam one, where she said it's like winning the competition and finding out it's a scam. If you are a writer who has joined any competitions, any of those competitions on X where you put up your pitch for your book and agents can like it or whatever, so you can send your manuscript to them. It's like doing that and then getting that amazing heart and then finding out that it's from a vanity press or it's from somebody who just wants to sell you their stuff, and it's not because it's an actual agent who wants you to query them and is excited about your book. So sad.
Yeah, and deflating as well.
And I think that her comment really melds into what Connor said. Connor is one of my beta readers who is going to be on an episode. I think it's next week. He's on our episode. We asked him this question: what would you do from a guy's perspective? Like, do guys really have all of the same feelings? He's like, absolutely. It's like you're watching your favorite TV show and the TV show makes you have the feelings, or maybe you're a video gamer, or you love sports. How do you feel when your favorite sports team loses, or your favorite quarterback just pulled his hamstring and now he's off for the season? Those feelings that they can relate to, that they experience in their lives, that maybe they can start to understand how a book that you get as involved in as they would their sports or their TV show, that they can relate to it that way.
I will assure you 1000%. Well, especially in South Africa, ask any South African, well, especially Afrikaner man, how would you feel if the Springboks lost the Rugby World Cup? They would have emotions for days, okay? They usually drown it in their brandy and coke, but they would have emotions for days, okay? For weeks, for months, even. I think for any reader, if you want a man to understand, compared to sports, they will 100% understand where that feeling is coming from, is all I'm saying. Also, I would be a little sad, if South Africa didn't win, but who is so far the, rugby team who has won the most World Cups? It is South Africa. Yes, it is.
So you think maybe they're justified in their frustration?
Maybe. Though I think my most fun comment that Connor gave was to compare to shopping. And I 1000% related to that because I said, okay, imagine you want that pair of Nike shoes, okay? And you're like, I do not have the money for that. But every month you save a little bit of money to have that pair of Nikes on your feet. And the day comes where you have enough money to grab that pair of shoes and you go into the store and there aren't any left. Or even worse, they're not in your size. Do you know how many
Yes.
stores I went to? And they're like 4 or 5. I'm like, honestly, have you heard of a 6 before? Or a 7? Just asking. But I thought that was a great example because I feel every single person in your life, whether it's wanting to buy food, to buy clothing, a laptop or a telephone or anything like that, that despondency that you feel when you spend all that time and effort saving the money, aka reading that book, and the end result just left you depressed.
Yes. And with the shopping, I have to. So, this shirt that I'm wearing right now is one of my favorite shirts, and I've had it since 2018. I bought it in Sweden. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I have a lot of family history from all over the European area, but I got a lot of the Swedish genes. Like just take a look at me. I'm very Swedish. When I took the DNA test, that I'm nearly 50% of my DNA is Swedish. And when I landed in Sweden for the first time and walked out, everybody had my body type. And when they have your body type, it's like, wow. And so I was like, I'm going shopping. I'm going to go to the store. I hate shopping. Nothing ever fits me. Nothing's made for me in the United States. And everything fit. It fit my dimensions because the people there fit my dimensions, right? And it was such a thrilling and exciting experience. And I would relate that to the good book. When you're reading a book that is just, it captures you and you feel at home. That is a feeling that you just cannot beat.
I hear you because that is the same thing that happened to me in America. Because I went there, I'm not a person who likes to shop. Because in South Africa, in any store you go to, in Mr. Price, you're a large. But when you go to Ackermans, all of a sudden you're like an extra large. And then you go to Pick and Buy Clothing, and then you're a small. And I'm like, what? Can we all just have like a universal size over here, please? And thank you. That always kind of made me like very sad because I always feel like I'm 7 times bigger than I feel like I am. And I went to JC Penney. Oh my goodness. I remember that day because I was in Sterling in Virginia and I went to one of the big shopping centers and I walked to JC Penney. I kid you not, I literally picked up a dress. It was like a medium. And I went into the dressing room. I put it on. Sarah, it fit like a glove. First of all, my self-confidence was like sky high there. I was like, I fit into a medium. I was like, what world is this? Can I live here forever? I was like, this is fantastic. But literally the first outfit that I put on fit me. And I was just like, this is magic. What is happening right now?
So I'm going to throw something at you now that we did not plan. It's my turn.
Oh, this is the first? Oh, yeah.
Not so much a game as a quiz. So we talk about we want the books to fit us. We want these clothes to fit us. And so we'll talk about the books that give us the feels and why. The first one that a lot of people talk about with in my circles is Aragorn when he is at the end of the movie. Now, this isn't in the book, it's in the movie, but the feeling is in the book when he stands before the hobbits and they're about to kneel to him because he's the king, and he says, "You kneel before no one." And it's like, my goodness, this
Right
encapsulates
in
the
the chest.
whole feeling. That it does that in the movie, but then in the book, when it really gets me, I think they tried to replace this whole thing with that. When the hobbits in the book get back to the Shire is actively under attack by the dark forces they just spent their whole last 3 books fighting, right? But they come in there like, we know how to do this. We know how to protect our people. And the triumphant moment of these 4 hobbits riding into Hobbiton and chasing out Sauron and defending their people and freeing them, and the joy, it's like they came from being these farmers and partiers who didn't know anything to the defenders of the Shire, and it just brings it full circle into just the tingles that it gave me.
Okay, I got a little bit of goosebumps just listening to that. I was like, ooh, that is woo. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a feel, definitely. Shoo.
Yes, that is what we mean by when a book fits you, right? So, what's one book that will live with you forever and why?
You've heard me. I will give you one guess of what book I will mention now.
Oh no. It's going to be in Akatar, isn't it?
No.
No, not no. Let's see. Turned the tables on me.
I've mentioned it a lot of times, and I told you that that is generally not my genre to read, so I don't like reading it. But I did read it, and I do refuse to read one of her novels ever again because I was like, that traumatized me too much, too emotional.
I know I should know it. Like, it's totally ringing bells for me.
Okay, it has a number in the title.
A number in the title. Oh, you're giving me way too many. Oh, husbands, the seven brides of Victor Hugo,
So
right?
close. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Evelyn Hugo, the seven husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I can remember which way it went.
Yes. So it is by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And as I've mentioned many times before, I am not a historic fiction reader. It came onto my feed like 20 times, and I was like, sheesh, fine, I will read it. Goodness gracious. It broke me. It really broke me. And that is why I refused to ever read one of her novels ever again, because I was so emotionally drained from it, because it was so well written. And it's not one specific scene or a specific dialogue or anything like that that made me feel this way. It was just the way it was written, the characters, the storyline, how it was all just put together that just drew at my heartstrings. I mean, naturally, it is the main character's story. So naturally, you have empathy for the main character and all the things she's gone through because it's about a celebrity who has had 7 husbands. And so throughout the novel, they talk about each of her relationships with the husbands and how she ended up with the last one. It was just so beautifully written and it was just so beautifully done that I felt it from my head up into my toes. And I would recommend that book to any person. If you ask me and I'm walking down the street, what book would you recommend? You would think it would be a romance. No, I think that would be the first one that comes out of my mouth because it was really so, so good. So that is definitely one that affected me that much. So much that I refused to read any of her novels. It was so funny because the other day I went into the bookstore. I love my parents, okay? So I am a teacher, and for my birthday, all my parents gave me book vouchers. I was like, did I mention I like books too much? Like, what? Perfect gift. I should probably start using these vouchers. And so I went into the bookstore and I bought the 3rd book of Anna Nicole Meirer. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. And so it was Accomplice to the Villain, I think is the 3rd one. But yes, so I went to go buy that one. The bookstore manager is standing there and he's like, "Oh, are you looking for anything in particular?" And I was just like, "No, I got what I needed, but naturally I just want to browse to see what other novels are there." And he picks up a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel, and it's the Daisy Jones and the Six. And he picks it up and he's like, "Read this." I'm like, "Nope." but thank you for suggesting it. He's like, no, it's really good. I'm like, I know, but no.
Way too much emotional damage. I can see why you really liked her writing, though, because as a romance writer, to hear the real romance stories, even if it doesn't have as much happily ever after as a romance story does, I can see why that would be intriguing to you, but also hits so strongly home because sometimes you just can't write what happens in real life properly. And that's why my husband would always go to The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors because it's a historical fiction and it is so powerful.
It's historical fiction, so it's not nonfiction. So it's about war?
It's about World War II and a
Okay.
specific battle that happens in the Pacific. So the tin can sailors is a phrase that's used for the sailors that worked on these destroyers. And the destroyers in World War II were easily sank. And that turned out to be a very bad weakness against the Japanese military at the time. But you have this story of this destroyer against, I can't even remember how many Japanese battleships. And somehow they won. Somehow they read the book to find out how. But they won the battle, and just the myriad of things that happen is just, it's incredible. And it makes you think just how those sailors must have felt knowing that they were going into this and probably not going to survive. Maybe because I'm a Navy wife. And so I'm like, I've seen him go out on those ships and you just think, but yes.
Oh, okay. No, that is crazy. Crazy cool, but crazy. I googled in the specific prompt, and so that phrase popped up. Like, I feel if you really want someone to understand, like, the emotional damage that you are experiencing while reading a novel, you should just be like, yeah, it's like when you lose a friend. I mean, to death or just in normal circumstances, either way, but I feel it has the same vibe to it.
Yeah, when that favorite character is no longer there, or you finish the book, there's another one. Maybe the book itself didn't make you cry, but maybe you've now finished the book and the journey is over, and just the sadness of, but they're my best friends and now they've moved across the country. Just that feeling that it's gone.
That's what I like about romance when they do like a hockey series or like a family series or something like that. Like, as the series continues, you still get little tidbits of the previous characters that you loved, which is what I love so much, because then you're like, oh, they got married and they had a child and this and this and this. So you kind of can see how they continue to live, even though they're not the main part of the next novel, which is nice. But I actually saw this reel on Instagram, speaking of like the end of the novel emotionally draining you so much. And it was this little girl who was sitting there reading a book and she was crying so much. And the mom was like, oh, you sad that it's over. And it's like an entire series of novels that she read. And it was the last book. And she was like, yes. And she was like, because you love them so much. She's like, my advice, just start from the beginning.
Oh my goodness. And I think this is why we get into things like fan fiction. Like, people who write fan fiction is because, no, the story's not allowed to end and I must continue the story, or I do not like how the author did that, so I'm going to do a fan fiction spin-off and do it a different way and explore the way that I wanted it to end instead of the way they did it. And that's a great way to get your emotions out. And I think it can be stigmatized sometimes when people are like, oh, you just write fan fiction, or people who don't read be like, oh, fan fiction. But it's like, yes, but you play your fantasy football, so like, leave me alone.
Exactly. Exactly. You play video games.
I want to end with one thing, because as I was thinking about this prompt, okay, I was like, how would I explain it to somebody? I'm never going to get them to be able to read an entire book, especially if they don't like reading. But there is a story I can get pretty much everybody to read because it's only 6 words long. It's accredited to Ernest Hemingway as the shortest story in the world. Have you ever heard of this?
I have not, no.
I feel like the best way to get them to understand is for them to read something that will hit them as hard as any book can hit me. So this is his story. For sale, baby shoes, never worn.
Ooh.
I have yet to say that to anybody, even people who don't read, and not get pretty much that reaction that you just had. That's not where this was supposed to go.
No, this feels to me like a prompt, or it feels like, well, I don't know if you did it in high school or school, but for us, for English, we had to write essays. And so they would give us all these prompts, and then you can pick one and write an essay about it. That feels like a prompt. Like, this is the 6 words. Write an essay about it.
It's depth, it's emotion, it's character. It sparks your brain with all the thoughts and questions of why. Why is it that way? And without him having to go into it, you feel the fullness of the story.
That's like the perfect hook that you can use for a query letter.
Yeah. So that would be my answer. Give them Ernest Hemingway's story. Anybody can read it. It's short, it's sweet, it's simple, and just let them sit with it for a while.
Yeah. No, my brain just went 7 million different places.
Oh no, I've broken Nell.
I'm gonna be staring at a wall for a week. Thanks, Sarah.
We like to keep things short here on Tea and Tales. Get your fingers back on the keyboard and your pens back on paper.
And if you like what we are doing here, you like the topics that we are discussing, and you love the guests that we have on, go follow us on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook at Tea and Tales Podcast, and on Twitter/X and TikTok at Podcast Tea Tales. And go to that purple icon on your device and go give us 5 stars and tell us which novel has emotionally drained you so much that you can either never read it again, or you will recommend it to any person that you pass by on the street. And then you can go help us go up, up, up. It's a moment.
Happy writing!
Bye.